Welcome to Squatch-D where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D for today's date, February 2nd, 2025. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, along with my comrade down there, Mr. Chris Bennett. Dos Vidania, Chris.
Das Vidania. Good evening, comrade. How's things going for you in New York?
Well, I should be wearing that hat.
Well, actually, I'm wearing mine with good reason tonight because, there was no heat down here earlier. Although I do have the heater on now, I can use this hat right now. I'm getting some good use out of it. But, things will warm up soon. Won't be long. Spring's coming. Although I don't think the groundhog gave good news. According to them, it's going to be around March the 21st or something until spring.
Yep. Hey, and for anybody that was trying to get a hold of me on my email the last month, I actually was having a server problem. Did not know that.
Huh.
But that is all fixed.
Well, good.
So I just wanted to get that out there real quick. And hello to everybody that's in chat. We see everybody is assembling tonight.
Yeah. And if you send me an email, I only check my email about once a week or so. If it's warm enough to come downstairs, I'll check my email.
Right. I don't know how long this hat's going to stay on with the see, I got the heat lamps up there that light up the office.
I like your hat better than mine, but I got to say, I think mine's probably warmer.
A little bit. Well, I don't know.
I've seen that hat before, though. I've seen that. That's the Steve Kulls hat. Yes.
That's right. And of course, I'm sporting my new birthday present from Big G. Nice Bigfoot camping shirt.
Nice job, Big G. I was looking at that before the show started, and at first I thought from the distance it looks like you're just wearing camo. And then when you got closer to the camera and you showed me, it's actually got a lot of Bigfoot creatures on there.
This actually may be the new show shirt.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, because from a distance it looks like camo. But get close to it,
Yeah, you see Squatch sitting at the campsite, and
oh yeah,
there he's sitting at the campsite at night. I don't know what he's doing over there. Anyway, maybe I don't want to know. So anyway, let's do our roll call, and we got to get into the meat of the topic tonight. Boy,
there's a lot of people. There's already 30 people in here. Hey guys,
yeah, we are. We're gonna be filling up fast tonight. Okay, let's do the roll call for the chat tonight. First in tonight, Pete H. Hello, Pete. Good to see you. Mick in second place today. And of course, we have Sharon from our good friend from Belgium. Hello, Sharon. Our good friend from Massachusetts, Walter Kroll. Pat Collins, good to see you. Relic Hominin leaving a message saying,
in case you were there, we appreciate you guys.
Mitch Hargrove. Hello, Mitch. Karen Fisher. How are you tonight? Grasshopper. Let's not forget Grasshopper. And of course, our official lurker representative, Roy Longley, in the house. Welcome. Ron Meldrum. Hello, Ron. Good to see you again. I think we already said Sandra Piper. If not, hello again. And we got Boris Kahn in the house. Don Gumau Jr., Jen, the bouncer, and hiding in the background, I'm sure, is Baron, probably sound asleep. Yeah. John, Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks, good to see you.
Welcome.
And Jay Carey, good to see you, Jay. Okay. And of course, we got the B-Tron in the house. Arthur Watch. Hello, Arthur. Good to see you. Of course, Bill, finding the trackway. How are you, brother? Good to see you again. Grant Rasha. Hello, Grant. Good to see you, my friend. Cowboy One, new to the chat. Hello, welcome, Cowboy One.
Welcome.
And who else do we got in here? I think we got it all. Yep, we got it all.
I think that's everybody. If we missed anybody, it ain't cause we don't love you. I believe that's everybody. We didn't have Grasshopper this time. We didn't miss you this time, Grasshopper.
So we have a very obviously, for those who don't know, and if you don't know, let's get you out from underneath the rock you've been hiding under for the last umpteen years. Yeah, Stravoyevich, Stravoisha, yeah. What do I know? You might have
Yeah, Boris, I don't know, man. I was just going along with Steve. I don't know anything about Russia. I just like the hats. That's it. When you've got a bald head, it's nice to put something furry up there when it's cold. It's nice.
Family show. All right. Family show, Steve. Family show. I'm sure Chris was talking about a platypus.
Oh, no.
I swear to God, I'm waiting for the chat. Somebody say something about a beaver pelt.
Never take a platypus out to eat. You'll always get stuck with a bill.
Jesus. Not again.
Okay. Well, I think I'm going to take my hat off because it's starting to warm up in here now. And get a little reflection off of that bald noggin there.
Actually, you have no reflection whatsoever. Unfortunately, I do.
Well, my light's kind of orangey looking. You know, I don't know why.
Yeah. looks like Chris is a little jaundiced tonight.
Don't read into that. Yeah, it's just my ring light. It's got a setting of daylight and then that warm light. You know, and that warm light's kind of yellowish looking.
It's okay. My liver's fine.
Oh man.
So anywho, for those who have been under a rock for the last umpteen years, M.K. Davis was one of the first people to really, one of the second people, actually. The first people to break it down was Nassie. And Nassie broke down the Patterson Gimlin film. And then shortly thereafter, M.K. Davis started doing work on it. Did some really wonderful work.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden in 2007, he turned. And it showed really what going down the rabbit hole and a very good imagination can have. And it has spurned a cult of its own. Very few people believe in the massacre theory. However, the people that do espouse it very loudly. And, but anyway, it's his contention that Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin decided to off a group of Sasquatch, and there was a cleanup effort between Bob Titmus, John Green, and another guy by let me think. Another guy by the name Dale Moffat and his dog. And as it turned out, Bob Titmus was not really there. That was a gentleman by the name of Keith Chisieri, I believe, or close enough.
The pilot.
Yep. Yeah. And that was the pilot of the plane that flew them there in a very quiet manner, but completely based upon Viper Strike 13. Hello, Viper Strike 13.
You're killing me. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a lousy toupee, kind of, bouffant. Kind of a bouffant. But anyway, it's his contention there was a cleanup effort, and this is all based upon his interpretation that this little brown patch of water in parts of the Patterson Gimlin film are actually reddish brown, I should say. It's actually blood.
I
Now,
mean, if you turn up the hue enough, it all looks bloody.
now there was all sorts of things. In fact, one knucklehead many years ago, Keith, what's the name? Scott Marlowe. I don't like to speak ill of the dead, but too bad. He actually had the nerve to call the DA on Bob Gimlin about this whole massacre theory with no evidence at all. And it's what happens when you have these people that have such superior, illusionary superiority that they think they're cyber. Oh, wow. We're getting some talk. Cyber active asks, is this how to hunt character up to his rhetoric once again? No, this is something else. And I'll explain this. This is kind of a new twist. It's a new twist, but an old twist. And it came up very recently. We're going to get to that, but I just want to recap real for those who don't know the story completely. But there's so many. That's what happens when people have illusionary superiority. None of these folks have professional investigative analysis. They don't know what it's like to put together an actual criminal case. I put together thousands, and civil cases and family court cases, and even real estate property cases. So they have no idea what they're talking about. You just can't make a subjection, and all the rest of this is just bullshit. There's nothing, and that is probably the most blatant thing I can say. There is no evidence whatsoever except for a conjecture what's going on in their head and taking a few pictures of this or that and misinterpreting them as, well, that must be them in the cleanup operation. No, they're out there on expedition looking for tracks, looking for evidence. And of course, it becomes something nefarious with no evidence whatsoever except their ideas. And of course, we have people that have such cognitive dissonance that they get right on the bandwagon with them. Oh, yeah, MK, MK. What? There's no evidence. I don't understand why anybody believes this. But what this comes down to is the later involvement of Dr. Bruce Maccabee. And the late Dr. Bruce Maccabee, great guy. And I'm not taking a thing away from him.
Yeah.
And the only thing he ever said is we have one of the original films, which I'm not sure if he does or not. And we're examining it. And we will release our findings later, but he passed away before he could. Right? So, but he never said anything in favor of this massacre theory.
Right.
And enter Mrs. Maccabee, Jan Maccabee. And that's where I think things start to fall apart. I remember I can't blame the husband for the wife or the wife for the husband.
No.
She only became really vocal about this just prior to his passing. And he wasn't very vocal at the time about it. He never said a word about it. She did. So, over a few months ago, there's this adventurer on YouTube by the name of Timothy Alberino, and he has a discussion with his co-host Dan Altman, no relation to Eric Altman. And apparently, this particular Altman, had some interaction with Jan. And it's very, very convoluted, and it sounds full of garbage. And well, welcome aboard, Cyber Active, Cyber Active 66. Yeah. Well, welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard. So, in this conversation, and I'm not going to play clips from it because I don't want any messing with YouTube or anything like that, or anybody getting angry at and then decide throwing copyright strikes. But we're trying
right.
This is the actual episode where a screen cap from the actual episode where they're talking about it, and much to their credit, you can see they have a bit of reserved skepticism.
Mhm.
The only problem I have with it is if somebody comes up with a story and they can't bag it up, why put it out there?
Right.
Right. That's the problem I have. Now, is it a major thing? No. No. I get it. Hey, these people said this. We're just putting out there. I get that. But in their conversation, Jan Maccabee tells Dan Altman that there is a film of them skinning the Bigfoots and doing and yeah.
Wow.
And other things.
You could make me a hat out of one of them.
Jay Carey, why talk about it at all, right? Because people are talking about it. And this channel that we're talking about is almost a quarter of a million subscribers.
Bigfoot.
Right. And so this is out there. This is out there. So you know what? We're gonna. So he talks about Jan talking about the film. Now, if we recall, when we had the last time we had this thing about the debate and MK Davis thing.
Yeah.
Jan Maccabee showed up in our chat. And she was making allusions to this film and yada yada. And remember, she had said to us, wait till you see the film. Right. And we asked for it to be shown, and don't worry, you're going to see it in a few months. Now, I understand Bruce passed away prior to that.
Yeah.
Right. Or actually, you know, I'm sorry.
After that.
Bruce was still alive. It was just after that he passed away within maybe like 4 or 5 months. So here we are, fast forward, what is it now, a couple of years down the road? And this show aired 4 months ago. Right. And nobody has seen this film. And Jan makes a comment to this Altman guy. I'm never going to let this film see the light of day. Well, if you're not going to let the film see a light of day, right?
What's the need in bringing it up then? You know?
Right. The other thing is after that, she ghosts him.
Well, that's kind of odd.
Yep, she ghosts him. I am publicly calling bullshine. I think she's hoaxing that there's actually a film. She made up this story that this is the original film, and that Roger Patterson lost it in a poker game. No.
That don't sound right.
No, not at all. Considering he was going around up until, the last 6 months before his death, showing the film nationwide, licensing it to people. He didn't lose the film. He didn't lose the rights.
Right.
In fact, Roger Patterson's widow holds the copyright.
Yeah.
Patricia Patterson. Right. So if he sold the original copy to the film, he would sell the original. It would have been. And really, how much did he well, Roger owed this guy money and he lost in a poker game. Yada, yada, yada. What? Yeah, you can't put a dollar value on that. And okay, so we gave the film to this guy. What did he do to cash into it? Right? What did he do to cash in on it? Right? What good is it? So it makes no sense. It's kind of like the whole theory. If you committed a crime because there was a big cover up and they were worried about getting arrested and yada, 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 which we know from fish and wildlife laws that they wouldn't, because there's no such animal on books as a Bigfoot.
Yes.
So if you kill 1 or 50 the first time,
right?
Guess what? It's a pass, because there's no law against doing that.
Yeah.
Either on the fish and game law or on statute.
And I would argue that even if you had an overzealous prosecutor that took you to court and tried to put you in jail for doing that, that a jury would find that you would obviously been in fear for your life because it's something that you've never seen before, you know.
Now, in the psychology of Bigfoot, I talk about this from the criminal aspect. Like, okay, if I committed a crime, now I've got a film, but am I going to pinpoint people to the exact area of where that crime was committed? No. That's stupid. It lacks all common sense. Well, it's the same thing here with this, whole film thing. If he had lost the film in a poker game and gave it to this guy, what did the guy do to capitalize on it to make up for the loss of cash revenue that allegedly Roger Patterson owed him?
Nothing. He didn't get any rights to it or anything. I mean, it's just like, oh, I lost a bet. Here's a copy of my DVD.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's nice.
And there's the other point. If now you have the physical specimens to prove that it existed, why would you keep yourself in limbo? Saying with this film. Right?
Can you imagine the amount of money a Bigfoot body would bring in? You know, I mean, you would have all these universities, wanting to study it, and I imagine you could probably lease it out or something. But even if you were just to pull a Rick Dyer and do a
right
on the road show with come look at Bigfoot, we've got an actual real one this time,
Right. So none of this makes sense from a psychological aspect or a motive aspect. It defies any type of criminal psychology out there. Right? I mean, okay, I heard of a criminal returning to the scene of the crime, but not bringing, the entire world with him. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And
there's no doubt that was the scene because they had the trackway there. And Bob, who was it? Was it Bob Titmus? No, the big tall guy walked it.
Jim McLaren.
Jim McLaren, yeah. Jim McLaren walked that pathway. So.
Why John Green, filmed it.
Yep. So you wouldn't necessarily make people there.
And here's another interesting thing. When I saw MK Davis somewhere, I've actually met MK Davis, and years ago, and he was selling. He went to the Bluff Creek site, and he scooped up a bunch of dirt from the berm.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was selling it as souvenirs.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty cool idea. Yeah.
Cool idea. But if you're in the belief of this theory.
Well, maybe at that time he didn't believe that. He didn't have that theory. He hadn't postulated his new theory of instead of Patterson Gimlin filming Patty walking across the sandbar.
Well, Cowboy 1, it had to be later than that because it wasn't until 2007 or 8 that MK started expounding his theory on that. And that was specifically started at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference because I had gotten a phone call after MK had sidebarred with a bunch of researchers. And one of those researchers called me. And Chris knows about that because I called him.
What is going on? I don't know. Have you heard this? I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
And, MK's like, oh, that's not a herniation in the leg. That's a shot. Oh, come on. That idea kind of just went by the wayside after a while. And then you have the advent of people like Todd Gatewood, who says, oh, well, we've enhanced the picture of Patty with AI, and this is the most accurate. Whoa, AI,
No.
And then there was the people trying to say that they see a reflection of something in Patty's eye. For God's sakes, anybody seen how far away how frame 352 is? You're not going to get a reflection in the eye of the Sasquatch. Get that out of your head. Yeah, that's the Jesus in the toast, the grilled cheese sandwich. It's pareidolia.
That's to prove that was the glint off of Bob Hieronymus' glass eye.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's one. The glint of Bob Hieronymus' glass eye. That was the flash from the muzzle of Bob Gimlin's rifle. All kinds of nonsense.
We could do that too. We could say, "Oh, that was the flash of a thermonuclear explosion that took out the herd of whatever you want to call them, Bigfoot, the whole family group." They used a thermonuclear device. I could see the flash in the eye.
And actually, Mick says Bob Titmus tracked Patty afterwards all the way up to a higher point, and he suspected that she watched Roger and Bob from that position. In actuality, Roger and Bob did. Bob tracked her for a little bit, but lost her for a bit, and then turned back around. And that's when they decided to start the casting of the prints that were left behind.
I do remember reading that they had measured the trackway, and at one point the track started I think they were spread out at like 60 to 65 inches. So she had been started picking up her speed as she got further away from them. She started stretching out her steps.
Right. Yeah, and why was Patty left to walk away? Kaiju Ninja makes a great point.
Yeah,
if they allegedly assassinated all these Bigfoot creatures, why did they let Patty walk away?
Right. They were worried about witnesses. Should have been no witnesses.
Yeah.
But if Patty's included in that because that bulge that popped up on her thigh was a gunshot wound, I don't know. But there's been a lot of talk about that bulge that pops up on the thigh too. One person said it was Bob Hieronymus' keys in his pocket. That's one of the theories. And another one, what was it?
Maybe it was a pack of bubble gum.
Yeah, I would go with probably just a herniated muscle is what I would go with.
Right. And I make some other points in the new book that's coming out. Let's talk about, like, they have this big cover up going on. Meanwhile, in the area there were 3 major crews operating within a 5-mile radius of the Patterson film site.
Right. If they'd heard a war going on, they would have probably come down and said, "What's going on?"
And there were documented work schedules and locations for that work. There was a road improvement project going on near the site.
Yes.
There was also a culvert installation program ongoing. And there was also survey work going on for future development. The time preceding or just after the Patterson Gimlin film.
Right. I wonder if that's where MK came up with the backhoe theory, that they had got the backhoe in there and dug out a mass grave.
And then we have to remember that this was a multi-jurisdictional area between Sheriff's Department patrols, Forest Service, and State Fish and Wildlife, and game wardens. Now, here's the other thing, too, is the remote location and difficult terrain would have made a large-scale operation challenging, right? It would have required cooperation from multiple agencies and people and dozens of individuals.
At that time, it's not that difficult to get to now, from what I understand.
And there's been really no explanation of how they disposed of the bodies. Right? Because even if they buried all the bodies in the pit, there would be sign of carrion and vultures and predators, because they can smell that stuff even through the dirt.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Once something's buried, I don't think the vultures are necessarily going to be after it.
Yeah, but with that amount of blood evidence.
But there's going to be a noticeable pit. There's going to be a sag in the ground.
Yeah, but you forget that they weren't very good at cleaning up, were they? Because they apparently, according to MK, they left this big puddle of brownish red bloody water. Yeah. That would have attracted the carrion. And that would have attracted a lot of other type of predatory animals, such as coyote, wolves, bear, whatever, smelling that blood.
Right.
Never happened.
The blood would have brought them in.
Never happened.
Well, if you put a photo on your computer monitor and you're adjusting the hue and all that stuff, and I'm not good at that. But I've tried to clean up photos of try to clear up red eye and things like that. And once you adjust certain things, you can saturate something and make it look red, or you can make it look green or yellow.
Now, then we have the the conspiracy on the conspiracy. Hang on. We have a conspiracy on the conspiracy, and that a couple of people who were promoting this massacre theory, people like Steve Isdell, how to hunt, or how not to hunt, I should say. Bigfoot anyway. And David Paulides was another one big, here's David Paulides once again in the middle of all these garbage scientific projects or scientific theory projects. First, he attaches himself to the Ketchum Project, which we beat to death ad nauseum. And now with science, mind you, and now we have him involved in this, trying to get the ear of one-time researcher Bobby Short, who is really a big veteran in the Bigfoot research world. And she wasn't much of a field person, but she was one hell of a researcher and journalist,
right?
When it came to this stuff. And, a lot of people think Bobby Short was young because there was really no public pictures of her since the 70s.
Yeah.
And Bobby was a retired nurse.
Nick's got a good point here, Steve. Said, Steve, there was some heavy equipment not too far away, which were used to clear unimproved roads, but there were no tracks from heavy equipment anywhere near the Patterson Gimlin film site. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Yeah. That's why I was kind of wondering if that's where MK may have got they used a
Hey, there's Brent. Is Gatewood still pushing the massacre? As far as I know, yes. But because I don't really regularly follow these guys, this came up on a post saying, hey, these guys were talking about this, and they have a pretty huge following. So, that's why we bring it up again, because now you may get these people that are ignorant to the Bigfoot thing. Now they see the film and go, hey, yeah, I heard these guys killed a bunch of them too. And not that I think they intentionally meant to. They did show a little bit of skepticism to it as well, especially mentioning about the ghosting stuff. But so anyway, Paulides gets in the ear of Bobby Short, who starts to begin to believe this. Of course, at the time, like I said, Bobby Short was in her 80s, right? She was not a young woman,
right?
And Bobby Short passes away, natural causes. Well, then we have a gentleman over there, a Canadian named Isdall, decides to float the idea that, the Bigfoot's, the great Bigfoot conspiracy, assassinated Bobby Short.
Bobby Short was killed for what she knew.
Hang on, Chris, hang on.
Boy.
Say that one more time.
So Bobby Short was killed for what she knew.
We had to do it.
By the men in black.
Yeah, in actuality,
oh gosh. I think these guys are like why would you need to make up some kind of fantastical story? I mean, I just don't get it.
Well, it's what happens when you start to believe your own bullshit. Pardon my French.
Well, I'll tell you what. If I thought there was one iota of truth in this, I would personally fund an expedition to dig up those remains, because there's going to be some bones. There's going to be something.
Oh, absolutely.
I would personally fund an expedition to dig up those remains, recover those remains for science. But you know what? I wouldn't spend $1 on it because it would be $1 thrown away. There's nothing to this. It's nonsense.
Yeah, so we have this whole assortment of characters. Isdall, Paulides, Gatewood, M.K. Davis, all, and now Jan Maccabee, all piling on the massacre theory, which has zero evidence. I just, why do they? It's because they begin, MK believed his own bullshit too much that he says, oh, that's reddish. That shouldn't be, despite the fact he added a red filter to the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the time of the year,
but I suppose Al Delatly was lying, and there's a couple other people. I mean, this is the most documented Bigfoot film ever made. Right. We actually have a timeline of hour by hour by hour, day by day of what occurred. And to say that, oh, well, I got the film, Jan Maccabee, the film is the original film. Wait a minute. There were several copies of the original film made. Now, the original film went to a production company. This is from Bill Munns, right? Went for a 1971 documentary. I can pull it out if you need me to, but it is in When Roger Met Patty by Bill Munns. That film was never returned to Roger. So the original film got lost with this original production company. But the first generational copies, Patricia Patterson had one. I think DeHinden had one as well. There were several. And then the last missing copy turned up. And it wasn't Jan Maccabee who had it. Right? It wasn't this one. It was Eric Beckert who had it.
Yeah, Eric had a copy. Yeah.
And we're all wondering to this day if he tracked down that production company to get that film.
I'd say it could. That's feasible because Eric was in California, and that's probably I'm not certain, but I would probably say that's where the production company was, California. I have to go back and look and see who did that. Oh man.
But, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jonathan. I totally missed that question there in the context. There's so many comments scrolling up that sometimes I miss the context. So I was looking at your question going, what does he mean? No, but Bobby Short died of old age, heart failure.
Yeah. No. No, Bobby Short was not knocked off.
No. There was, but like MK's whole massacre theory, Isdall starts to float this theory of Bobby Short being assassinated by the secret Bigfoot consortium that tries to preserve the cover up of the Bluff Creek Massacre, which I'm sure by now he's probably named me part of as well.
Oh well, I mean, had this happened, I mean, the mystery would have been solved.
Right. Exactly.
There's no crime committed.
I just don't understand the logic to any of it. And somebody that has, like I said, I have put together over 3,000 cases in my career for prosecution.
Right.
I have never seen somebody float such a ridiculous idea with zero evidence, just a subjective assessment of what, oh, that's reddish brown. That's got to be blood.
Well, what doesn't make any sense is you pointed out earlier is why have a crime scene that you've covered up and then release the crime scene to the world after you've covered it up? You know, if people go in there with dogs, I mean, the dogs could smell the dead body.
So let's talk about, there's some people in the chat. Well, why can't you sue them? Sue them for what? Sue them for what? Defamation, libel, which they could. But in order to win a defamation or a libel lawsuit, the person pursuing the lawsuit has to show actual damages, a loss of revenue, a loss of income. Now, maybe mental anguish, maybe, if he gets some death threat calls, maybe. But even that's kind of floating. It's got to be something substantial. Like, for example, if somebody was to defame me and my YouTube channel shuts down, I could go after them for the loss of income made off the YouTube channel. Although I'd probably spend more money in an attorney. It would take 5 years for it to catch up. But you get what I'm saying. And then you have the jurisdictional subtleties to it. Well, you would have to file a California. Well, Bob lives in Washington. He would have to file a case in wherever MK Davis lives, Mississippi. And that's not cheap. And then he would have to actually go down there. And then again, Bob is in his 90s, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Right. Well, I would like to remind everybody that MK Davis has done some decent work on the Patterson Gimlin film.
To me, it means nothing now. He has taken all his good work and thrown it in the garbage. I'm sorry. That's the way I feel. You know what? Bill Munns' work far exceeds that of MK Davis. Yes. So if MK Davis never touched the Patterson Gimlin film, never looked at it once, we'd be all for the better. And that's my take on it now. And I hate to feel that way because MK Davis is not a necessarily nasty guy, a bad guy. He'd be nice to talk to on stuff that's not Bigfoot related. But he's completely off base on a lot of his stuff now. He's become somebody that believes in every film that comes out. We've seen him propagate the Mike Sells fence walker video, which I was there even before MK was there, and clearly saw that I could have hopped over the top of that fence. I showed in the video on the channel a few years back how when it walks over, you see the fence post bend in where it pushes down the fence to climb over it. Right. It is not, and MK is trying to say, oh, it stepped right over the fence. No, it didn't. It pushed it down. And it probably pushed it down a good foot, maybe 6, 8 to 12 inches. So, and guess what? I know what Mike Sells looks like. I know what a ghillie suit looks like, and that's Mike Sells in a friggin' ghillie suit. And I know how Mike Sells walks. I know how, that was Mike Sells. I've met him. So.
Well, I can understand him wanting to see Bigfoot in these videos, but to fool himself into believing that it's Bigfoot when it's actually not, that doesn't seem like something like MK should be doing.
Well, again, there are certain type of people that go in with so much confirmation bias. Right. And now I'm beginning to believe that is MK Davis. He always has had confirmation bias. And when you have a person that comes in and constantly sees in Bigfoot, even in questionable evidence, right? You have to turn around and say and question the rest of their work. It's kind of like Igor Burtsev. Igor was thought to be fairly on the level, and the Janice Carter thing was kind of wobbly. People were giving him a pass on that because, I didn't see nothing, but I believe her, yada, yada, yada. And then he gets a phone call, and then there's Grisha, getting in the car and driving the car in Russia. Right. Yeah, now he's just ruined any credibility he had in the past. That anything he said in the past now becomes questionable because of what he's doing now.
But I mean, if you're being honest when you're doing your research and you see a blurry video, you've got to take a step back and say, well, wait a minute. Okay, maybe this is a Bigfoot, but it's so blurry, I can't tell what this is. This could be somebody in a ghillie suit.
Well, you see that, and some people do have a point. But I don't think that was, I don't think money is MK's motive here. I think it's just his extreme confirmation bias. And we have to check that. Really, we have, as a community, we have to check that at the door. If we're going to investigate something, research something, or speak on something, we need to check our confirmation biases at the door and look at it objectively from all angles. And then when those angles have been eliminated, then we can make a relatively educated, informed statement. And that's what drives me up a wall sometimes.
Nikki from Sasquatch Secrets joined the chat.
Hello, Nikki. Hello, Brent.
Everybody check out those channels, Sasquatch Secrets and the tall ones, Brent. Yeah, Brent's got a good channel. I've not been getting any notifications though lately, Brent. I'm going to check out. You've not been doing any videos, or maybe YouTube unnotified me. Maybe, I don't know. That seems to be a rolling thing going on with certain channels.
Yeah.
Click the notification bell and then go back like a month later and the bell's not clicked anymore.
Right. Right.
Or you're subscribed to a channel and you don't receive any notifications from it for a while, and you go back and look and you find out somebody somehow unsubscribed you from that channel.
I'm sorry, Mick. I do not agree with that we can honestly accept his earlier work. I do not agree with that. I believe that Bertef has shown enough confirmation bias that his prior work is now smeared with that, and there's nothing that you can take away from that. You know, if you have a cop that arrests, 65 people for DWIs, and then in the 66th one, he's found to be faking that evidence, right? Or found to be doing the procedure improperly. What does that say about the rest of the evidence? Right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that happen. We have seen that happen. Right? Or the officers that do the drug, they claim to be tested in reactions for drugs, and they realize that they're just hosing people.
But, I got to say, I still do like that frame by frame recreation of the Patty's walk she did across the creek there that MK put together. And he did a good job on that, regardless whether he sees aliens in the background or UFOs or something. It doesn't matter. It was still quality work. Has he done as much work to the film as Bill Munn's? No. I think Bill Munn, he's my man crush. He's done so much with the Patterson Gimlin film,
man. Kaiju Ninja asked a question too. It's possible Paul Freeman. So let me stand on this. I don't know if those tracks have ever been properly debunked, but that being said, Brent brought up a good point, a film, the Freeman first film, that gives me a lot of question to the second film now. And I'm man enough to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to readjust my thought process on this. Because that's the way we should be as investigators and as scientists even. We need to be fluid in what we believe versus what comes out at a later time or what's proven. For example, how many people believed in the surgeon photo in Loch Ness until it came out the fact that it was, actually a toy. So yeah, you have to be flexible in that.
With the Freeman film, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, in his opinion, it said it moved.
Okay, hold on. Lori Gibbs, Todd Standing has nothing real. Zero. Zip. Okay. This is a guy who started his career in 2005 who said he had bags full of Bigfoot hair. Where did the Bigfoot hair go? Oh, somebody broke into his house and stole it. This is the same guy, Todd Standing, who says that Sylvanic was an area that only the First Nations tribes knew, despite Sylvanic being a Latin name, not a First Nations name. Sylvanic is also an area that you can only access by a small cave that opens up to the other side of a mountain. Yeah. Todd Standing has always been a fraud. Todd Standing came out with Sylvanic Video 1 that was so cheesy that he wiped it from the internet, except I have a copy of it. And also, at the same time, he was putting out ads in the newspaper, in Edmonton Sun newspaper, looking for actors and actresses.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That was the one where the pine trees were shaking the snow or something. The limbs were on the tree were shaking and snow falling off.
Right.
Supposed to have been Bigfoot.
Oh, look at these tracks. What do we have here? And then all of a sudden, and then the film. Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty.
What about the 3 missing hikers that went missing? There were 3 missing hikers went missing. He was trying to make a video like Blair Witch,
right?
Found footage type of stuff.
Yeah,
that's what he was trying to capitalize on. And unfortunately, Eduardo Sanchez beat him to it.
Oh man.
Yeah. Todd Standing has a long history of faking. Check out my blogs. Check out my Hall of Shame page. You'll see the whole history of it there. But I don't like to be so polarizing. You know, I sit there and wonder, am I that polarizing that because I call out people by name? Oh, should we not do that? Should we? Oh, let's be quiet about it. Well, no. Well, I'm sorry. Doesn't mean I don't like people or I hate people or I'm angry at people or I'm mad at people. When I get agitated with is people see the evidence right there in front of them and they tend to gloss over them. It's called cognitive dissonance. Yeah. You know, you're so firmly in your belief, you refuse to look at all the other evidence. We see that every day in life now, every day. And social media has
That's okay, Lori. That's fine.
I'm not mad at you, Lori. I'm not mad at you.
No.
Don't think that. I just want to set you straight on that record, right?
If you like to watch Todd Standing stuff, why by all means, you know. I've watched Todd Standing's videos. Some of them I thought were really entertaining. I like the one where he had the road flare and he's at night and he's got the road flare and it's dark and he's got the camera going and he says, what do you want? What do you want? Okay. Why he's filming himself doing that, I have no idea, but that kind of reminds me of something a lead up to the Blair Witch, you know. Something of that nature.
But I don't know. I don't know. You know, I listen to any Standing stuff. You know what I hear? You know what I hear when I hear Todd Standing stuff?
What?
That's what I hear.
Well, you know, it's I consider it entertainment. Is what I consider it's entertainment. It's nothing to do with real Bigfoot research.
I have I have a real problem with that, with trying to look at something. You know, if something is made obvious that it's entertainment, I get that. But when somebody's trying to say it's true and misleading so many people, that gets under my craw.
That's wrong. Yeah.
That gets under my craw. So
Gorilla Gloves.
So Brent, actually, I'd love to get Brent on the show sometime and talk to him about his interaction with Todd, because he said Todd is a hard dude to know. And yeah, sociopaths can be like that at times. Grant asks that the inappropriate manner. I have not seen the video of that, but I've heard of things like that before. There was a guy who murdered another man over an argument over Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah. The Oklahoma guy said he sent Bigfoot to kill him or something.
Well, and another thing, Laurie, don't think that Todd's making all this money. He's not.
No. I don't think there's much money in Bigfoot. No.
I know a lot of his original podcasts when he went over to YouTube, which from his mom's basement.
If you go into the Bigfoot business to make money, you're in the wrong business. Should be in the egg business.
Yeah, 50 cents a pullet. 50 cents. $1, $1.50, $2, $2.50.
Yeah. Kaiju Ninja says also these Bigfoot TV shows such as Expedition Bigfoot, even though it's entertainment, I think it comes across as something real and people are being deceived by it. Yeah, I could see that too.
I agree, especially when they put out false information.
Yeah.
On a Bigfoot. And then how do you expect discovery to happen when there's so much false information out there and people get misled? That annoys the heck out of me, because as a person who sits there at conferences and interacts with a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
I have to deal with this misinformation. Which it's time for a shameless plug time, Chris.
Okay.
Shameless plug. You want to avoid misinformation about the Bigfoot mystery. Yes, that's right here. This is coming out March 1st, in case anybody wants to know. Bigfoot, a scientific examination, where there are 49 separate scientific papers about Bigfoot in it, regarding eyesight, hearing, olfactory, mating systems, social groups, nesting. And there are case studies. There are case studies in there. We look at the Patterson Gimlin film as a case study, all scientifically written with over 289 scientific references in the bibliography. Tremendous book. Chris, tell us what you think so far. You're up to page 250.
250, yeah. And as I pointed out earlier tonight, I asked Steve what page is the part about the Patterson Gimlin film and the M.K. Davis theory. It was on page 252. But I've been enjoying it so far. It's good, and I think it's going to be great. A great reference material, a good one to keep on the shelf. I mean, of course, you're going to read through it, but it's for any information you want to, like a quick reference, you can look it up. Okay, what's this? What's the scientific jargon on Bigfoot? Scientific papers on Bigfoot breeding.
Oh yeah, we talk about it all the way. Bigfoot in caves.
Yeah.
A number of different things.
It's good. If you would, Steve, could you make yourself big and then show the cover of the book so everybody can see it? Because I really like the artwork on that cover. Well, I think everybody would like to see that as much as me.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah. There we go. I like that.
And this is the hardcover edition. And for example, tonight, some of the stuff I was looking at was one of the case studies in the book. And this is actually one of the case studies right there.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And he's also got some pictures in the book, illustrations, and there's a lot of charts, a lot of good looking stuff. I'm really impressed. Buddy Steve put in some time in on this one.
Yep. And again, it's 401 or 2 pages, 402 pages long, fully indexed, full bibliography, appendices, table of contents. So there's a lot of ways to reference material in the book. And other, the bibliography is great for further reading. If somebody wants to read on a particular topic, they can go to that book and find it and read it.
Grant sent you an email with a link to a video of a female Bigfoot assaulting a man.
Oh boy, that ought to be good. Was it done by the Butchie Kids?
Prom date from hell.
Yeah. So that book will be out March 1st. And it'll be available in hardcover and softcover. The cover is essentially the same on both the books, both editions. But yes, and we do everything. We do case study on the Sierra Sounds. We do case studies on.
That was a question about the artwork, I think, on your book, Steve. Yes. Thank you, Cyber Adkif 66. Yeah, it's a great cover. I like it.
Yeah, I kind of got it. I didn't think it meant Prince, like Purple Rain Prince. Purple Rain, Purple Rain. Oh, wrong Prince.
Yeah. Hey, man, I had that cassette back in the day. Yeah. Prince was rocking it one time. Rest his soul. And, what was it? 94, I think. Came out one. I can't remember what it was. Had a bunch of stuff on there. Darling Nikki and a few others. Was pretty cool.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yes.
Here we go.
Butchie Kid vids are damn funny. Pure comedy. I believe 100%. Yes, sir.
And they only live a couple hours from us. From where I live, they're only a couple hours away.
Yeah, I think it's Butchie Kids 624 or something like that YouTube channel. I can't remember, but if you type in Butchie Kid, you'll find it. It's hilarious. That's where the one that they had the Bigfoot stealing the guy's motorcycle, and there's just so much. They came up with so many different ideas, and of course, yeah, okay, it may be a little hokey, but it's funny.
The Epstein one was good.
It's good for a chuckle, yeah.
Right.
Well, they're good. Check them out. Tell them Squatch-D TV sent you. They're good. They're good. I love that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Well, hey man, I grew up listening to Kiss and AC/DC and stuff like that back when they had the makeup on Kiss. Oh, Lori says, I think Sierra Sounds were unexpected and they sold it after that with a sighting, etc. I don't think they saw anything. Yeah, I don't think they ever actually saw anything with the Sierra recordings, did they, Steve?
They did. They would see shadows up. See shadows and dark figures moving around up in the tree lines. But the other thing too is remember how they were made originally. The original Sierra Sounds were not made by Ron Moorhead. I repeat, they were not made by Ron Moorhead. The original Sierra Sounds were made by a reporter that traveled out to him, Alan Berry.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I thought Ron brought the recorder for.
In fact, if you watch the original In Search Of with the Sierra Sounds in it,
yeah,
it's Alan Berry on the show, not Ron Moorhead.
Mm. Well, for a while I was thinking, why didn't they go outside and check things out? But after I saw the actual structure that they were in, it was not a cabin. I was led to believe for some reason that they were inside of a cabin while they were recording these things. And it is not. It's just they had some trees that were like growing close together, and they had stacked up some logs and stuff around, basically in a circle around these trees. They made them like a 12-year-old kid makes a fort. Okay. But that was their shelter. And so
and sadly, you know, Ron was part of that horrible television show, Alaskan Killer Bigfoot.
Oh yeah. Well,
he made a guest appearance on there, and again, you know, there was all kinds of stuff going on every time, but they always would run away.
I've seen Ron on a lot of stuff. He's been on this the Mexican mummies, UFO mummies or alien mummies. He was on one of those shows too. So
he was.
Yeah, I'm sure he gets the calls, you know. And I can't blame him if he wants to make some commentary and get his face out there on the TV. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
Remember, a lot of the people that float to the top really, you know, and I will say this: you can knock finding Bigfoot all you want, but those were 3 people that were very involved in Bigfoot research and put their time in.
Yeah.
You know, all the other shows, who are these people before the television show?
Right.
Right. And they try to build themselves. I mean, the only other show that was good was the one with Ken Gerhardt, which covered Alaskan monsters, and they had another guy by the name of Jax. And they were bona fide guys and pretty decent. I knew them before the show.
Right.
And you know, it gets canceled because it's based on reality. You know, Hollywood, for whatever reason, doesn't know how to market true stuff. If you wonder why people are turning and cutting the cords and going away from your traditional media and coming to a channel like YouTube,
right,
or a platform like YouTube to watch television, get their news, get their information from, there's a lot of bullshit out here. Let's not parse words. There's a lot, but there's a lot of true information too. And that's what we strive to be here, is the truth factor here, not anything that's fluff or anything like that.
Right.
Now, I was unaware of those footprints of the Sierra Sounds, which, had I known that's where they came from, you know, I don't know what to think on the Sierra Sounds, I guess. I've heard a guy make a really good imitation of those, but then again, I fall back to what Texas A&M did with Sierra Sounds back in the 90s during Legend Meets Science.
Yeah.
So hard to say. Hard to say.
I don't know. I never heard anything like it in Kentucky, but you know, that's
the other thing.
Kentucky, you know.
That is the other thing. You hear people say they hear things, but that could be an oral version of pareidolia, and there is such a thing, right? But it is a fact that nobody's recorded anything like that since the 1970s. You know, there was this was recorded by my good buddy Eric and Alex Petikoff, and I was present as well. But that was not a Sierra Sounds. That was a whoop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As you can hear, there's an echo to it, so it had volume to it.
Right.
So the decibel range on that was pretty large. You know, it's a question that we always have to bounce around, you know. Why? Ask why. Why has there never been another sound? Why haven't we heard the samurai chatter ever recorded again?
Right. Yeah. You hear there are reports, people say they've heard talking in the woods.
I'm not saying that they're not real. I'm not saying they are real. I'm just saying that these are questions as an investigator, as somebody that approaches the topic without confirmation bias. I have to ask myself, I have to be honest with myself. And to approach a topic without confirmation bias is approaching a topic with honesty. Right. And that's really
yeah.
And I agree. It's likely fake, but there's no evidence right now that we can say it is. We can say the tracks are fake, but we still.
I would like to hear those. If he's got some new stuff coming out, that would be great.
Well, I keep hearing these ruminations of that.
Yeah.
But again, I don't want this to turn out to be like many things in the past. Remember the Erickson project?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have this. And then they leaked out the pancake eater, and that was the beginning of the end. And then he hooked up with Ketchum, and that was it. Done. Goodbye. It sunk the whole thing. How about the Jan Maccabee? The extra video in the Patterson footage she claims, right? That she says she has. We've never seen that either, and it's not going to see the light of day. So forget about it.
I mean, if she's got a new video, I mean, she could license that, make good money.
It does not exist, and likely it's a video of nothing she says it is.
Yeah. But I enjoyed the Finding Bigfoot shows. I really did. The only thing I wish they would have changed the format, because instead of a research show, it turned out to be like a travel adventure show. Because one weekend they would be in Washington State, and then the next weekend they're in China, or the next week they're in China. Then the week after that, maybe they're in I don't know, West Virginia, and so they spent only about a week at these locations. That's not enough time to do any definitive research. You go tree knocking, and you hear a tree knock, response, you're like, oh yeah, there's Bigfoot here. There's Bigfoot in these woods, and then they leave, or they camp out for a day or two and then leave.
Hang on, I'm gonna find something for folks.
You got a good area, they need to stick around and check it out. Get some good evidence. But that was one of the longest running Bigfoot shows. I mean, if you count, it was basically all Bigfoot. It wasn't like what's that one you did, Steve? Oh God, what is wrong with my brain? Ones that was on the History Channel. Good Lord, what's wrong with me?
Okay. I'm trying to find something, and of course, I can't find it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be looking up for what my brain cannot bring to the forefront here. Wasn't Expedition Bigfoot?
Hang on.
It's that one with Doug Hychak had. What's the name of that series?
Monster Quest?
Monster Quest. Yeah. Those weren't specifically all about Bigfoot. So, but I did like that show. The Bigfoot episodes, of course, were my favorite. But I liked the monster sharks and stuff like that. The monster salmon or whatever. Swimming around in the lake in Alaska. I like that. That was good.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, I think you're right, Boris. Finding Bigfoot was not for research. It was more for entertainment. Because, they did. They kind of turned it into a travel adventure. And that's kind of like, the other show that Josh did, Expedition something X and stuff like that. Josh Gates. He had several. Josh Gates has had several shows like that. and they're more or less travel adventure. Let's go look for Bigfoot in Australia, somewhere cool. Let's go look for Bigfoot in Thailand, which that's nice. Yeah, Destination Truth. That's another good one, Boris. Yeah, Destination Truth. That was another series that Josh Gates did. That was cool. Good stuff.
Now,
And
everybody's talking about this. Well, never mind. Apparently, that's not the right file. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember her name, but she was on some of the other shows with Josh Gates. Oh, yeah. One of my favorites. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, and that sound was actually created in the studio. And yet you'll hear that sound used a lot on some YouTube videos. They'll pretend like they're recording that out in the woods. Has all the reverb and stuff from the studio where they created it. It's funny.
I'm very aggravated right now.
Back in the day, just several years later, put on this.
Give me 1 second.
Go ahead, Steve. Cowboy One says, it's here on YouTube. Back in the day, my dog was just killed, and he's looking at me. That 911 call, he bought it several years later, put it on his channel. There was a video that he bought it. Oh, okay. Check it out.
Well, anyway, I'm trying to find the 911 call. I have it, both versions of the 911. I know there was some conversation going on about the 911 call.
Right.
And
yeah, I think people call that the Patterson Bigfoot call, but it's actually created for the movie Sasquatch: The Legend of Bigfoot. It was created in studio. That was the story to give that studio created sound file credibility. They said always.
Well, Cowboy One, you can't buy a public record. A 911 call is a public record.
Yeah.
You can pay to have it released and have it, but that doesn't give you the copyright to it, unfortunately. It's still a public record.
Well, yeah, but it's in the public domain. I mean, you can release that on the YouTube.
Right. And but in the first phone call, the guy says something killed his dog. It flew over the fence. It was dead before it hit the ground. And then it was followed up by a phone call where the guy was seeing, what he says, a very large person. And he kind of says it with that.
Like he didn't want to say it's a Bigfoot. Yeah.
Now, never mind the 911 call. I would have loved to have seen the police reports made from this. If I have the dates and the location, we probably could pull those or get those reports.
Right.
Yeah, the name might be redacted. The address might be redacted, but we will have a general area and we will have the actual what the officers actually have seen. So if anybody can find me the actual dates and times on that. No, the 911 call does not really sound suspicious. It sounds legit if it's real, if it's the real thing. What we need to find is the police report follow-ups to that, because obviously police reports were made.
Yeah, the 911 operator asked him, "Is it a person?" And he says, "Well, yeah, he's big."
Yeah. Well, it does not matter if we know the location of it. We can still find it somehow. We don't need Ron Moorhead to find that information out. As far as protecting the guy,
well, you know, I wouldn't.
The guy sounded kind of old as is. He's probably dead.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to give his name and address out on the YouTube or anything, you know, but it would be cool if we could interview him. That would be cool. Of course, we always respect anybody's privacy if they want to remain out of the public eye. I completely understand that. And we've had witnesses on the show before, and you know they didn't want to give their name, and that's understandable. A lot of people don't like the ridicule.
Right.
But yeah.
I tell you what, if anybody can get me the information of what county and approximately what year did it happen, if they can get me that information, I can start doing an investigation on it.
Well, I'm going to see if I can find it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and Brent, I would start right at the sheriff's department.
Mm-hmm.
Be blunt as anything. Hey, hear this video? I need the police reports, or this audio. I need the police report from that audio. It was approximately this year involving this, blah, 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 blah. They're going to hand you a form. You fill out the form, and they'll work on it.
Yeah, I've got some links here, but I'm afraid to open up any of them because they might start playing something else. But I'll do some research on that call.
Yep.
And there's more than one too. I mean, I remember there's a call from some people that spotted Bigfoot in a parking lot or something. I think that was that in Texas? I can't remember.
Jay Carey, no, that state from the 911 call is Washington State, I believe.
Washington, yes. Yeah, I could tell if it was Kentucky, they would start out and said, "Hey, y'all, there's somebody over here messing around," and they fix him and get shot. Somebody over here messing around my house.
Boris, I heard it was actually in Kitsap County around 1990. Yep. Give me 1 second, Chris.
Yeah. Kitsap County, 1990. Yeah. Yeah, I did. You know, I looked it up on the Googler machine there, and I found some links, but I didn't want to click on any of them because some of them were YouTube and some of them were Facebook, and a few of them went to different places around the internet. And I'm not real big on clicking links unless I know where it's going to take me. I think that's safety concern, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Jay, that's about right. They'd probably call up the sheriff department and say, "Hey, y'all need to send a hearse. There was a guy out there messing around with my dog, and yeah, he's not messing around with anything anymore. Had to defend myself. Had to defend my dog." Yeah. Washington State, yeah. I believe that's right. Oh, this is from 1997. I don't know, Grant. Well, the Monster Quest episode might have been filmed in 97, and
right.
They got the call from 90. Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Whoa, hang on a second. Mm-hmm. Monster Quest did not air in 97.
Oh.
Remember, I got involved in research in 98.
Okay.
I was on season 2 of Monster Quest, and that was in 2008.
Okay.
So season 1 started in 2007. So there's a little more. 1997, Kitsap County.
Yeah. Maybe it is.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's he says he's big. Somebody get somebody out of here. He's looking at me. Yeah, the guys are very excited. Of course, I can imagine I probably would be too. You're looking at one out your back door there, and that's the thing, if you're out in 3 or 4 miles into the forest and you're trekking around, you've been hiking for half a day and you spot a Bigfoot around the corner. Okay, that's different from walking out your back door and there's one standing in your back lawn on your back lawn. That's a lot different. That sense of security is from your home as your castle.
Well, Brent, that's not necessarily true. I won't offer up information on certain witnesses. Just won't.
Yeah.
If they come out publicly, and which I a lot of times ask them to do, that's fine. But if they don't want to come out publicly, and maybe that was the agreement, but I don't know. Maybe it's just Ron covering for his lack of investigation. He got the audio, he heard about it, and
Right.
the guy contacted him, and he got the audio through the dispatch center. But that's a pretty complicated piece of equipment, really. I think to especially since there was 2 of them. It wasn't just the one off. It's just, let's face it, some investigators are difficult. And, Bill Brand, who at one time was my mentor, would not give up any of his sources, even to me. Right. I love Bill, but he was the kind of guy that did not trust the people around him. He'd rather trust people that he would communicate with over mail. That's just him. But there are people like that. And, maybe Moorhead is cut of the same cloth. They both definitely started researching or involved in the same time frame. And that was and please bear with me. Even the bear with me, that was the mentality of a lot of researchers in the 70s. I had met a number of them.
Yeah.
And they were very tight-lipped about everything, where it was, when it was, who it was.
Right.
You would get some general years, you would get general dates, but the exact locations and what exactly occurred and names, anything like that was always, especially if it was on their own personal property.
Right.
It would definitely not be passed along, even to people that they work next to, which I think actually probably is a throwback from the 60s and the 50s when you had, DeHinden and Patterson and Byrne and Green, and they were all kind of working together, but also in competition with one another.
Well, there's a certain amount of secrecy that researchers want to keep.
Well,
and like, where's this exact research area at? Well, if you tell everybody
right
in the United States where it's at, then everybody that's interested in Bigfoot will go there looking, and they'll end up ruining your research area. If you find a spot where you can have, fairly common sightings, you don't want to share that with too many people, because once people start going in there and stomping around and shining flashlights around it and spotlights at night, they'll leave the area. They're not going to hang around that.
And the other thing too, even though the guy's deceased, you give up his name, it's very easy to find out where they lived, and then that becomes a problem for the new homeowner.
Right.
If people to start descending upon there or start doing YouTube videos in front of their house saying, "Hey, this audio came right here," because now we live in those type of times where if you have a piece of property like that. Well, let's look at the Conjuring house, for example. The property owner that owned it before the Heinzens had owned it. Now they sold it to some whack job, but they before the Heinzen owned it, it was a very quiet family. Right. And when the movie The Conjuring came out, They had to put no trespassing signs all over their property because people kept coming over there. They were doing YouTube videos on the sides of the road, all kinds of things like that. So, we live in a different time now where I can understand not releasing that information, not necessarily because of the witness that has passed away, but the people that reside at that residence now.
Charlie. How you doing, Charlie? Well, the 911 calls are pretty interesting, though. It's kind of nice. You can hear the guy's voice, the stress in his voice,
Thank you, Patty.
New member. Great. Yeah, you can hear the stress in the guy's voice, whether that's normal, natural, or he's doing that acting.
That's a good act.
Who can say it's a good act if he is? Yeah. It sounds legitimate.
Sounds legitimate. I'd like to know more. I definitely agree if he even has a police report. He may have just the audio. And if he has just the audio, we need the police report.
Well, that would be good, yeah. Well, if it's a 911 call, there's got to be a police report. Or there's got to be a report. I don't know if it would be a police report. But there's got to be a report. 911 log somewhere.
Somewhere. That's almost 20 years old now. Yeah. 30 years old, sorry.
Prior to the internet. Or around about the
start of the internet.
Yeah, the genesis of the internet. And that's unfortunate, because you can look back a certain date in time and you can find information back to a certain date, and you go back any further and it's like, oh, well, okay. Start looking up old newspaper sites and finding newspaper articles.
Right.
That's about it.
Right. Well, Chris, I think it's time we take us out tonight. I think we've
we've covered that topic well enough, and I'm still not a firm believer in the Bluff Creek Massacre. Matter of fact, I refuse to believe that. That's but everybody has an opinion, and that's fine. If somebody out there wants to believe in that, why, go for it.
Yep.
But I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Everybody over in chat and all our listeners out there on the podcast. We appreciate you guys. What's going on? Don King.
Remember, hold on. Now, before we go, I'm going to interrupt you now. There used to be a show called Not Necessarily the News. Years ago, it was on Home Box Office.
Yes.
And they had a commercial on their show for Don King margarine.
Yeah.
And every time somebody bit into the remember Imperial margarine, their old 70s commercials.
Right.
They used to eat the thing and a crown would show up on their head.
Yeah.
Bing, and they have a crown. Well, with Don King margarine, every time they bit into the toast with the margarine on it, they'd have a haircut like Don King.
Bing. Hair would stand straight up. Yeah. Oh God, you guys are killing me. Okay, where was I?
Little known fact. I was the process server in the Don King federal lawsuit.
Oh, that's cool.
Well,
but we appreciate you guys watching. And if you're new to the channel, if you hadn't subscribed already, please remember to do so and smash the like button. give us a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm. And they say, I don't know if it's true or not, but they say that it helps promote the video. What do you think, Steve? You think it promotes the video? I don't know.
Give us a thumbs up. It makes us feel good.
Yeah, it makes me feel happy when I look down and see that. That makes me happy. So please make Chris happy. Thank you. Das Vidania.
And now, dos vidania, ye Amerikanskis.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you.
Chris, how is time in Gulag? Gulag doing good?
Oh, man. Every day is what was it? Every day is a holiday and every meal is a banquet. What was that? I can't remember what that was from. Life in the Gulag. Yes.
It's just a red state of affairs. Anyway.
Thanks, guys, for watching. We appreciate you. We know we're not worthy. But we appreciate it anyway.
Folks, we will be back on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, with another exciting show. And we actually, maybe next time, we will actually tear apart another piece of picture evidence, photo evidence. So we will see you all Wednesday night. Chris has seen that one. Looks very interesting, this one. It's not recent. It's from a few years back, but you're going to enjoy this one. So anyway, folks, we'll catch you all Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Squatch-D TV. And make sure thumbs up, share, like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And everybody, God bless. Be safe. Keep on squatching. We'll see you all in a little bit.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member. And it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.